When she found out how much money I really had, her panties came off faster than I could say the word million. Just yesterday, Dasha had worn her nose high, looking down on me and refusing even a cup of coffee, but today she was ready to do anything for the mere thought that I was the heir to a huge fortune. In life I have always followed one simple rule: never be in a hurry to show your cards. This principle has never failed me, especially when it comes to relationships. And so one day fate brought me together with Dasha, a beautiful, intelligent, but incredibly mercantile girl. Outwardly, she looked like any man's dream: long hair, flawless figure, neat facial features. But behind this shell there was an essence that I recognized almost immediately. She wasn't looking for love, but for profit.
Thank you for watching my channel. I create videos for your enjoyment. Please subscribe if you want to support my efforts, it's very important to me. I apologize in advance for any mistakes. Dubbing is done by neural network. Please point out mistakes in the comments so I can correct them.
We met by chance, at a party at a friend's house. I deliberately chose a modest image for myself: ordinary jeans, a simple shirt and old sneakers. I knew that such an appearance would not make an impression, and that was part of my plan. From the first minutes of conversation I realized that Dasha was evaluating me like a product on the counter. She was trying to understand who I was, what I did and how much I earned. I decided not to show my true capabilities, saying that I worked in a simple office position and barely made ends meet. Her reaction was predictable. At first Dasha tried to be polite, but by the middle of the evening her interest in me had waned. In conversation she mentioned her exes more and more often, hinting at their success, and soon she almost stopped paying attention to me. Nevertheless, I was sure that I could get her interested if I approached things the right way. We saw each other several times over the next few weeks, but each time Dasha found an excuse to cancel the meeting at the last minute. I continued to show interest, but kept my distance on purpose, fueling her curiosity. Sometimes I told her about my difficulties, how I had to save money on everything, that I dreamed of a better life but couldn't afford it yet. This pushed her away more and more, and eventually she stopped returning my calls. Then I decided it was time to lay my cards on the table. One evening, after another round of ignoring her, I called her and suggested we meet at an expensive restaurant. There was not a hint of my former modesty in my voice. On the contrary, I easily said that I was going to celebrate the successful completion of a major transaction. Dasha could not resist such an offer and agreed to meet. I arrived at the meeting in my modest car, a brand new sports coupe. Her eyes sparkled with interest when I handed the keys to the valet. Inside the restaurant I ordered the most expensive wine and dishes, not paying attention to the price. Dasha behaved completely differently. Now she was still the same flirty girl who tried to impress every successful man she came across. Our conversation took a different direction. She asked me about my work, about my future plans, about my success. I answered evasively, emphasizing that I had access to a lot of capital, but I didn't mention that I got most of it from my father. Dasha was thrilled, and I could see her literally blossom before my eyes. She tried to be closer, touched my hand, laughed at my every joke. Now she wanted me to like her, and I let her. After that meeting at the restaurant, Dasha started to get more assertive. She realized that this time she got not just a guy, but a real golden ticket. Her seduction became more explicit and elaborate. The day after our dinner, she invited me to her house, offering to relax after a busy week. She met me in a tight dress that emphasized her figure. She had obviously put a lot of effort into the preparation: candles, dimmed lights, quiet music. When I entered her apartment, Dasha unobtrusively pressed herself against me, as if accidentally exposing her leg. Everything in her demeanor said that she was ready for more than just dinner. After dinner, she suggested we watch a movie, but as soon as we sat down on the couch, her hands began to slowly slide down my shoulders and then lower. She exuded confidence. Her movements were smooth yet insistent at the same time. She knew what she wanted, and she wasn't shy about showing it. Soon she was sitting on my lap, her lips seeking mine and her hands exploring my body. She was playing with me, showing that she was ready to do anything to get me completely. After a few meetings, Dasha stopped hiding her true intentions. She began to talk directly about how important material wealth was for her, how she dreamed of a luxurious life. Evenings in restaurants smoothly flowed into nights in my apartment, where she took the initiative. She literally craved my attention, did everything to please me, and seemed willing to do anything as long as I continued to spoil her. One day when we were back in bed, she offered to make a video of us to save the moment. I realized that this moment was key. Dasha herself had encouraged me to do what I was planning to do. She believed that our affair would continue and that I was her ticket to the world of luxury. Her plan was simple: win me over, secure her status as the favorite woman of a successful man, and enjoy all the benefits that this would bring. She was sure she had me in her grasp, but she didn't know that things were going the other way around. I let her make videos, participate in this intimate project, knowing full well how it would turn out for her. It was a game for her and an opportunity for me to show her true colors. In fact, I had long ago grown cold to her and her attempts to seduce me. The recordings of our meetings turned out to be as eloquent as her behavior. Dasha knew how to create an atmosphere of passion and desire. She tried to surprise me time after time, each time coming up with something new. We recorded videos in different poses and places, on the bed, by the window, even in the bathroom. She was not shy and, on the contrary, tried to make everything as frank as possible. She was aroused by the realization that she was working for the camera, and each time she wanted to look better, more sensual. Her actions became more and more liberated, and each time she felt more and more confident in capturing me in her net. In one video that was particularly memorable, Dasha stood in front of the camera in just her underwear, with a playful smile on her lips. She slowly approached me, touching my body as if it were a sacred ritualized act. Every gesture she made was calculated, every look was designed to keep me in her grasp. We spent a lot of time together, and each of our dates became more and more intense. She loved playing the part, but didn't realize that she herself was a victim of the game. With each new video we shot, Dasha became more and more relaxed and confident in her victory. She was ready to do anything to impress me and strengthen her position in my eyes. In one of the videos, she decided to play the role of a seductress in a costume. She chose a tight outfit that emphasized all her curves and offered me to try something new, more exotic. Her eyes burned with excitement, and her smile was full of desire. She danced in front of the camera, slowly removing her clothes, teasing and teasing me as if she was sure she was in complete control. She enjoyed this game, believing she was strengthening her bond with me in this way. The most explicit video we recorded was in the bathroom. She prepared for this scene for a long time, sure that after it I would not be able to refuse her. She filled the tub with warm water, added rose petals and scented oils. We both plunged into the water, and Dasha, without taking her eyes off the camera, began to slowly approach me, her movements graceful and full of desire. She wrapped her legs around me, her hands slid down my chest, and she whispered words in my ear that were meant to convince me of her sincerity. In that moment, she was fully convinced that she held me in her arms, that I was her trophy, and that we had a future together in luxury and comfort ahead of us. After each of our meetings, especially those that ended with video recording, Dasha started to talk about gifts more and more often. At first it was hints, cautious and not too insistent. She would talk about how she was dreaming of a new dress she had recently seen in the window of an expensive boutique, or mention that her phone was not working properly and she needed a new one. I understood where she was going, but I didn't rush to answer, making her feel even more important. As time went on, her requests became more specific. After one of our dinners, where she once again showed herself as a skillful seductress, Dasha directly asked me to buy her a piece of jewelry that she really liked. She said it with such ease, as if we had been in a serious relationship for a long time and these gifts were a matter of course. I could see her eyes light up every time I acquiesced. She thought she had succeeded in luring me into her trap. She was already starting to plan exactly what she wanted to get after our next meeting. Soon Dasha started asking for more and more expensive things. One day she even started talking about a trip abroad, to some beautiful and warm place where we could spend time together. She assured me that it would be a great opportunity to strengthen our relationship, but I saw behind her words only a desire to impress others with her new, more successful life. She believed that each new gift made her position stronger, that I was becoming more and more dependent on her. But in reality, each conversation and request only convinced me that she saw me as a way to fulfill her material needs, not as a partner to love and respect. This cycle repeated itself until I had collected enough records that showed her true colors. Dasha was confident that her tactics were paying off, but she didn't realize that she herself was slowly tightening the noose around her own neck. When I finally put the video online, her dreams of a carefree and luxurious life crumbled in an instant. She lost everything she had tried to build on lies and manipulation, and I was finally rid of her pretense. She thought of all those notes as our little secrets, the very memorable moments we were supposedly supposed to preserve. To her it was an affirmation of her power over me, but in reality it became a tool of her defeat. When I finally decided to end our affair, having collected all the necessary materials, I posted the video on the internet, thus ending our story. Dasha had no idea that all this time she was just an actress in someone else's play. The camera she offered to use for fun became the very tool that showed her true face to the world. She tried to manipulate me by seducing me, but in the end she herself was a victim of her own greed. My silence after all this was the final blow to her, a reminder that her actions had consequences. After a while, when we had enough material, I decided to take the final step. I posted the video on the internet, adding a simple but clear caption, "For money, I'd do anything." At first it was a shock for her. Her world collapsed in an instant. Dasha realized that now all her dreams of a luxurious life were shattered. Her reputation was destroyed. She became the object of discussion and judgment. Her phone was ringing off the hook with calls from friends and acquaintances who had seen the video. She tried to contact me, to explain herself, but I didn't respond. My silence was the final blow to her. I understood that she now realized her mistake, but for me it was the end. She had chosen this path on her own, and had suffered the punishment she deserved. After I posted the video on the internet, my life got back on track. I went back to work and business as usual, but I couldn't help thinking about Dasha. Everything was over for her in an instant, as well as her dreams of a rich life by my side. I soon found out that Dasha started receiving a lot of calls and messages. Her friends and acquaintances were discussing what had happened, spreading videos and condemning her behavior. At first she tried to justify herself, convincing everyone that it was a mistake, that she wasn't really as she was seen. But it didn't help. Rumors grew like a snowball, and soon Dasha realized that it was pointless to fight. Her reputation was ruined. She tried to contact me, but I didn't answer her calls or messages. She wrote me several letters, first asking me to explain why I had done this and then begging me to delete the video. She said it was a misunderstanding, that she actually loved me and just wanted to be with me. But I knew that was a lie. I saw her true motives and realized that she never loved me as a person. She was only interested in my money and status. Her desperation peaked when she arrived at my apartment, banging on the door and screaming at me to come out and talk to her. I sat inside and listened to her voice shaking with tears and anger. She said over and over again that everything could be fixed, that she would do anything to get me back. But I knew that wasn't true. Our relationship had been built on lies from the beginning, and now those lies had consumed her completely. At some point, I realized that I had no anger or pity for her. She had chosen this path on her own. She had decided that money was more important than anything else. I just showed her that there are consequences for every action. At that moment, I was finally convinced of the rightness of my decision. I walked out of her life as suddenly as I came in. I left her alone, with her dreams shattered and her illusions lost. It was a cruel lesson, but she deserved it. Money can't buy love, and Dasha realized that too late. Dasha's story for me was another confirmation that real feelings are not measured by money. And I am glad that I did not fall for her tricks, remaining true to my principles.